everyone, and thanks for joining us for Buds and Suds Episode 1. I'm here with my buds, Peter, Kevin, and Nick, and I'm Grant. Today we'll be trying 3 different beers and letting you know what we think about them. But first, let's ask some questions. Peter, what was the last beer you had?
Last beer I had was the Deschutes Armory XPA.
Oh.
It's one of their new releases. It's replacing Twilight, I believe, for this season, so I got a chance to try it out a little early.
It's replacing it? Or are they not making Twilight anymore?
No, it sounds like they're going to be replacing Twilight with this. So.
Oh, wow. All right.
Did you say XPA?
XPA.
What's that? Just extreme or
Experimental.
Okay.
Yeah, it was actually pretty good. It was a good summer beer. One of the ones that I would probably take to a barbecue, one that doesn't fill you up too much, so when you're drinking it, it's got a nice light taste.
Nick, what about you?
I had the Garage Brewing Company out of Temecula, California, Marshmallow Milk Stout.
Ooh.
Wow.
Have you had Basecamp Brewing's Marshmallow Stout?
No, but
I was going to have you compare it to that. But.
So the big thing about this that I love is that, especially with like a milk stout, you'll have like a pint of it, and afterwards you're like, I can't have another one.
Yeah.
The sweetness of it.
Yeah.
Right. They make it with like the right combination where it's not too malty or too sweet. So you could drink like a 22 and you're still like not.
That's good.
Just not over too much. It's not too rich or anything.
Exactly.
Yeah. Nice. Kevin, what about you?
I had Lagunitas IPA. They're just standard IPA.
Nice.
Just a nice good one. I think it came out, it was like 6 or 6.2%, and it's just a solid, well-rounded IPA.
Yeah, it's a good one.
Not too bitter. It's for me, it's a lot like the Total Dom that we had the other day.
Yeah. All right. I had the Coalition Brewing Company 2 Dogs IPA. They're out of Portland, Oregon. I'd actually never heard of them. I just saw them at the store today and thought I'd pick up a 22 of it, and I was pleasantly surprised. It's very good. It's what is it? I lost it. 5.8% alcohol, 77 IBU. But it still doesn't taste too hoppy, even though it's fairly high. But very good, refreshing, and I enjoyed it a lot.
That sounds good.
Yeah, it was good. All right, everyone, here's my favorite part of the show, Mind Your P's and Q&A. This is where we pick some random questions that we all created out of this wonderful basket here, and we all take turns answering them.
Easy, Dad.
All right. First question. Very first question. If you were a beer, where would you live? If you were a beer, where would you live? So I guess we'll start with Peter.
All right. I think if I was a beer, I would live in the fridge.
Well, that's logical. Yeah.
But that fridge would also be located in the mountains, where there's a lot of people doing some fun stuff in the winter and making sure they're staying hydrated.
Very good. What about you, Nick?
The moon.
All right. Not as logical as Peter's, but...
No really logical reason, but I would be the first and only beer to be on the moon.
I like it. And as ambition.
If you're up there, do you think there would be no other beers at all? Like, would you just not let any other beer?
I think that would be like someone would have like an ambitious thought to put a beer on the moon.
Just one, though.
So, my question, are you in a can, a pouch, or a bottle?
It's going to be like a $20,000 beer that NASA has to create that you can drink on the moon.
Are you in a pouch or in a bottle or in a can?
I'm thinking like a hydro flask type of concoction.
All right.
Okay.
All
I'm not going to argue with you about space, but...
Moving on, Kevin, what about you? Where would you live if you were a beer?
You know, I'd probably go live in the cellar somewhere, be one of a nice aged beer. Only getting better with age. That's where I would sit.
Yeah.
I'd probably join Peter. Peter could be up in the fridge, and I'll be in the cellar somewhere in the mountains there.
All right.
What about you, Grant?
I'm picturing myself as a beer. I'm picturing myself in a cellar as well, but I'm picturing myself in Bag End, in Bilbo Baggins' cellar. Bilbo Baggins is from Lord of the Rings, by the way. He's a hobbit.
Don't they live in cellars technically? They're underground.
Yeah. Their houses are in the ground.
So it wouldn't be
like
a cellar.
a full-size beer or like a micro brew?
Well, it'd be micro in the sense that it's small, because they're little. Yes, Peter, I get it. All right. Enough of this. One more question. Let's do one more question. Second question.
No more questions? Second question?
One more question. If you could only drink one type of beer for the rest of your life, what would it be? Meaning, would it be an IPA, a stout?
Wait, so we have to name the exact beer? We can
No, what type of beer?
Style?
Style. Exactly.
Oh.
Jesus.
So mull this over for a minute. Think about it.
This is the rest of my life we're talking about.
All right, I'll go first.
All right, Peter, step up.
All right, I'm going to go probably the most stereotypical beer drinker answer you can go, but I'm going to go IPA.
All right.
Mostly because there's such variation. So you can have high IBU IPAs, or you can have a low IBU IPA that's a little bit more refreshing rather than overpowering. Yeah. I would go that route.
Well, where you live, too, you have lots of access to a lot of...
And I live in Bend, so that helps.
Yeah.
That's true.
Nick?
A lager.
Because you got a beard and you're like a lumberjack?
Yeah, do you have a reason behind that?
Are you a lumbersexual?
I could literally drink almost any American name brand beer for the rest of my life.
Lucky you.
Aren't they Pilsners?
Even though I don't like lagers, but I would go with lager. If I had to choose one beer.
There's tons of good lagers.
Or I guess I could just say ale, and then I could just...
No, that's... No.
It's like drinking meat.
All right.
I think you needed to be a little more specific.
This, ladies and gentlemen, is why you don't drink before you drink.
Kevin, what beer would you stick to?
You know, I'm really into pale ales right now, but I would probably have to go with stouts because of their versatility as far as all the malt characteristics that you can do with it, and then you got vanilla, you can have maple, you can have coffee, chocolate. There's so many more flavors that you can have with that. So that'd be my go-to.
Nice. I would probably go with pale ales. Just they're very easy to drink, and I always enjoy them. It's hard to find one that I don't like, so it's probably what I'd go with.
Middle road.
Yeah. Just not really have an opinion on anything. Just kind of.
Go with the flow.
It's fine. Cool, dude. All right. Well, that was Mind Your P's and Q&As.
All right. So now we're gonna go ahead and taste our beers here. First up, we have the Rogue Dead Guy Ale. This is from Newport, Oregon. It's a German Maybach, 6.5% alcohol, 40 IBU, an original gravity of 1.065. It's brewed with a lot of Rogue's proprietary stuff. They have proprietary hops and I think even grain in here. So that'll be an interesting one to try. After that, we're going to follow it up with the Mere Pond Pale Ale, another Oregon beer from Bend, Oregon. It is 5% alcohol, 40 IBU, somewhere between 1.050 and 1.055 original gravity. This is another great one, kind of a go-to you can find all over. One of my favorites here. And then lastly, we're going to go to the Stone Go-To IPA from San Diego, California. They are sitting at 4.5% alcohol by volume, 65 IBU, and some real great flavors there. Something to look forward to. So let's go ahead and pop the tops, and we'll start tasting our first one with the Rogue Dead Guy.
I mean, honestly, when you pour the beer, I mean, the first thing you see is, like you said, that red, more amber, honey-looking color that is just in the body. I mean, the head isn't too bad if you pour it right. I mean, if you let it sit, it starts to kind of mellow out, and there's not too much on top, so it's a nice, smooth-looking beer. But then that first taste, when you actually taste it, you get that really upfront malty taste, really creamy, I think. I really taste a lot of that creamy, maybe caramelly malt, a little sweeter. But then on the back end, you get a little bit of that hops, that proprietary hops that Rogue likes to use, and then. As far as the consistency of the carbonation, I mean, it's really crisp. I mean, you let it sit in your mouth for a while, and you really taste the carbonation, and it really is an active carbonation rather than one of those ones that just kind of sits in your mouth and is just like a liquid.
Mm-hmm. Definitely a little more upfront. Good. So, Peter, what would you give this beer as far as a second name for this beer?
You know, the only thing that really comes to mind is when I'm drinking it, you really have those bubbles that really dance on your tongue. So I would actually change it from Dead Guy to Dancing Guy.
All right.
I like it.
All right, Grant, let's go over to you. How are you coming along? What are you feeling?
Feeling good, Kevin. Feeling good. Let's see. So as far as the appearance, the color, agree with both of you. Kind of a copper red, more red color. The head was fairly fluffy, but it's definitely mellowed out now. With a more of a creamy, almost maybe tan color, maybe more creamy, depending on the lighting. Let's see. I'm getting. Bit of a sweeter, maybe toffee, maybe caramel flavor. Let's see. Not really. Maybe leafy flavor. Maybe just a little bit. Let's see. And then as far as the carbonation, I agree with Peter. It's fairly crisp. It's not too carbonated, but there's it's definitely not lacking in it either. So it's fairly good.
Okay. And where were the best place for you to drink this at?
So I find Dead Guy very easy to drink. It's I don't have to work at it, you know. And so with a beer like that, I kind of like it as a refreshing beer after almost a hard day's work. And I feel like one of the hardest things someone could do is run a marathon, so I feel like at the end of a marathon race, first thing I would go for is probably a Dead Guy. So that's what I'm going with.
Great. So the Boston Marathon should be sponsored by Rogue.
Pretty much. Well, maybe the Newport Marathon, I don't know.
Newport Marathon. Oh, yeah, that probably is the case.
I'll try and talk to them about that.
So I agree with you guys. A nice copper color. Very, very close to almost a reddish. Can't really tell in this light, I guess. But the head somewhat dissipated quickly. It started out pretty fluffy in a cream color. The aroma I thought was kind of complex. I was getting some floral, a little citrusy, almost maybe I don't know if there's like a plum or something that I was getting from. I think the malts definitely a biscuity, nutty flavor coming through there. Not too boozy, really nothing there. And then when I tasted it, that caramel, the nutty, the roasty came through, as well as the floral from the hops. I thought for me, it was kind of a complex beer. One of the first that I actually ever started drinking was Dead Guy, and at first I didn't really care for it because I don't think I really knew what I was doing at the time. And so as I've gotten more into beer, I really like how complex the flavors are with this and how well balanced the malt is with the hops. Very crisp carbonation, like you guys talked about, with kind of a thinner body. I wouldn't call it, I think medium body might be closer, but that's tough. Again, complex beer. I think it's great. If it were me, I think the pairing for this would be something hearty, something full of flavor. My first thought was a nice baked ham, bone-in ham on the table, sitting there, slicing it up, and one of these to complement the meaty flavor from the nice ham. So let's head over
now. I want some ham. Where's the ham, Kevin?
I don't have that for you.
Oh.
Let's head over to Nick. See what do you think?
Okay,
Nick?
So my first problem I have with this is that Rogue says that this is a Maybach style beer, right?
Right.
Which is a German lager.
Correct.
But it's a Dead Guy ale.
And that's because it's brewed with Pac-Man yeast,
Which is also a ale yeast.
Correct. That's what it.
So
that's my understanding.
They're liars.
They're liars. Okay.
I'm gonna start with that.
Wait, what just happened?
Jesus.
So, Grant, I'll break it down for you. So, this beer, they market it on their. It's even on the bottle. I think it says.
You know, honestly, it just says Dead Guy. It doesn't say ale.
I got ale on it.
Do you?
Well, if you look at
Mine doesn't say ale.
If you look on their website, it says like a Maybach German style beer.
Yeah, it's definitely that's the style for sure. I agree with you. I honestly don't
name it after an ale, so that was my first issue with it.
Hey, that's legitimate, Nick.
Anyway,
your guns.
So when I pour it, like the look of it, I'd say like a hazy amber red. I was agreed with Kevin with the smell of it. It's kind of like you get like that citrusy grapefruit tangerine kind of smell with like a little piney at the end of it. And taste, kind of the same way. You first get that like citrusy kind of taste at the beginning, with like a malty finish. I'd say it was like a medium bitterness, and it kind of finishes dry. And then the feel of it, kind of when you poured it too, with like the carbonation, it's kind of got like a medium carbonation to it. It's got like a light to medium creamy body. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, I agree with you. And while you were talking there, I decided to look up Pac-Man yeast just to make sure that you were comfortable with this.
You could ferment it as a lager and an ale, but it's mainly used as an ale yeast.
Correct. And it looks like it's almost a proprietary Rogue yeast as well.
I wanted to add in, I forgot to say, I agree it is kind of a medium body. It kind of lingers in the mouth. It's kind of thick. it's a little thick. It's not definitely had thicker beers, but it maybe I'm just dehydrated too. I'm not too sure about it. But
it sticks around.
Yeah, definitely. I can tell that now. It's on the sides of my cheeks.
Yeah, it just lingers in your mouth.
All right, Nick. So let's see that spirit animal you got for Rogue.
Rogue. Okay. Oh yes, I got this. Okay, let's see if I can.
Hey, that's good. Looked it up. Is that a frog?
It's a chameleon.
A chameleon.
It's a chameleon.
It looks like an iguana.
It's a chameleon.
Wait, look it up more. I can't see the bottom of it. Or go to the left.
That's all.
Yeah. Okay.
There's no lower half, thank the Lord.
That's a chameleon?
Yeah, he's slipping you off.
Please explain.
Okay, so this goes back to Rogue and this beer, how it's
Oh.
kind of an ale, but they pronounce it as a lager. So they're kind of in between. They're chameleons. And they're flipping you off because they don't give a fuck.
Shotgun a beer.
Yeah, I mean, I would call it penalty beer.
Yeah.
Can I just drink this?
No.
No.
That's a terrible macro brew.
Oh, that's gonna be rough.
I'll join you.
All right. Let's just hold on to you then. I'm making a note of it though.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to call shenanigans.
All right, you guys ready to move on to Mirror Pond?
Yep.
Let's do it.
All right. Let me just take a walk down the street to the brewery and.
Yeah, big man. So next up, we're gonna jump into the Mirror Pond Pale Ale from Deschutes Brewing. So let's go ahead and give this a shot. Peter, when you're ready, we'll come over to you first.
Just a basic look. You pour it. You get a nice frothy head. Dissipates, but it sticks around if you let it sit for a little bit. So it's gonna stay pretty carbonated while you just sit in the backyard and drink it. Up front, you get a really nice malty smell. It's really fragrant. I would say. It's got a when it first hits your tongue, you really taste the malt, but then you get that back end of really I would say a more relaxed hop. I mean, you could taste the hops, but it's not overpowering like some IPAs where it's just going to really smack you in the face. And I mean, it's a pale ale, so it's not supposed to, but it's one of those ones that you can definitely just sit by the lake and drink it. I mean, I think that the name's really fitting. I mean, being the Mirror Pond a few times, that it's definitely one of those relaxing, sit in your backyards and just hang out with your buddies and drink a few of them kind of things. I do think that it does have that overpowering taste that it's definitely going to be limited to one or two. Then it's going to be a little too much for you. But if I were to rename this beer, this is a tough one. Honestly, I don't know whether it's just the last beer that we had, but I would have to rename it to like. I taste a lot of molasses, so I'm gonna have to go like molasses ale. I mean,
clever.
Mole-ass ale?
Molasses ale. I like it. I'm gonna go with that. That's what I said. Molasses ale.
Very nice.
Nice.
So I'm looking at the color of this beer, and it's definitely, I'm getting more of a red than the previous Stud guy. Not too red, but it's pretty red. The head was, the way I poured it at least, was fairly rocky, and like Peter said, it dissipated fairly quickly as well. More of a cream color. The beer itself is a little hazy, not very cloudy, not cloudy though, just a little hazy. Smell, I'm getting more of a bread and almost resiny. That might be just the hops going into my nostrils as I inhale the foam, but that's what I'm getting. But also with the taste, almost a citrusy, flowery flavor too. Not too heavy though, fairly subtle. And I'm not getting much alcohol at all. It might be because this is our second beer, but it's fairly easy for me to drink.
Second beer? Who are you?
Of the show, carbonation, fairly light, not too heavy, and the body is definitely less than the Dead Guy previously, more, I guess, watery, a little thin. Not too light though. That's not to say it's not good. It's just not as heavy as the Dead Guy. And as far as where to drink it, dang, I think I'm just relying too much on the name, but when I think of Mirror Pond, I'm just thinking of sitting on a dock fishing in a pond. So I'm going to go with my gut and just kind of stick with that. So.
All right, so I'm going to agree a lot with you guys on this one. I don't know if I would call it more red than the Rogue, but it's definitely a deeper copper kind of brown. A nice foamy head that'll dissipate slowly if poured correctly, right, Nick? And then fairly clear. I think it's more clear than the Rogue that we just looked at. Right off the bat, there's a lot of sweet and roasty malt flavors or aroma coming out of it. I also get a lot of the citrusy kind of floral of the Cascade hops that they use in it, which Cascade hops have to be hands down my favorite to use in homebrewing too, because they're very versatile and they give a lot of desirable flavors. The kind of a yeasty, fruity, flowery aroma kind of backing up those hops is what I'm sort of getting when I take a deep sniff of it. Upon tasting it, I definitely get the sweet, roasty up front, followed by kind of a desirable bitter, floral, citrusy flavors coming through. And I think citrusy, I'm kind of leaning more towards maybe a grapefruit. I can't really pin it down, but definitely the floral comes through more in the taste than it does with a more balanced in the aroma. Not a lot of alcohol flavor coming through. The nice thing is, though, it's a great carbonation level, and it's a thinner kind of light body. I wouldn't call it a light beer, but it's definitely an easily drinkable beer that, like Grant said, you could sit on a dock in a pond fishing with it. You could have a couple of these pretty easily. Lastly, I would probably try to actually pair this with something that compares rather than contrasts, and go with kind of a smoky or a nutty cheese. Would probably go really good with this. I would probably suggest like a smoked Gouda, maybe some crackers, go with a nice cheese plate, carry this around as an appetizer.
Anybody else hate listening to Kevin do his little spiel? I get so hungry.
I know. That's like the only negative.
Gouda? Hell yes.
You know what sounds good right now? A Costco dog.
Yeah.
And a churro.
Any beer.
Nick.
All right, let's head over to Nick.
Hi. Deschutes Brewery. Beer pond. The look, I would say, is a caramel orange. Caramel orange, I'll go with that. When I had a very large head on it, I'd say it was a light tan with a decent amount of carbonation. Smell, same thing as you guys are saying with the citrus, floral, pine, in that order. You kind of get like the citrusy smell first and then followed up with the pine. Same order with the taste, I think. You get like the citrusy, followed with the floral and then the pine at the end with a taste. Feel, I'm just reading my notes here. Medium full body. Slightly sweet.
Yeah.
And
How does it feel to be?
moderate carbonation.
Tell me about that. The medium full body.
It's like a.
Please
It
explain.
really doesn't have any like special features. It's not too hoppy. It's not too malty. It's just like a regular beer you just drink.
So it's more like a low
I
body.
don't know. I'm just not really like impressed by it. It's just like a regular beer. Whatever.
I really hope you're just stoked by the Stone, so it's just so apparent on your California bias. It's stupid.
Yeah, really.
Wait until my rating.
How many curls
Alright.
do you do, Brad?
So,
Hey,
I will
let's see
get
the
my
picture.
trying.
Yeah. Whoa!
Nice.
I drew some mountains with a little river there. That's their logo.
That's beautiful.
And
Good job.
Is that a worm?
Worm.
yep, it's a worm. I don't know why. I was having a hard time thinking of a spirit animal for this beer because it's just kind of like nothing special about it.
I feel you, Nick. Nothing stood out to me either.
It's kind of a go-to beer though. Like it's like you can. It's kind of essential, like a worm is, like for the planet.
I get it.
But it
Can't
doesn't
argue with it.
amazing. So
It's a simple beer.
I don't think a worm would taste like that great, but if you like prepared it right, it might.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right.
There you go.
All right, so let's move on to our last beer, which is the Stone Go-To IPA. As I said before, they're brewed in San Diego, California.
Yeah.
I mean, just looking at it, pretty standard amber color. Being a session, it is definitely a lot lighter. A little bit more of a, I'd say it's more of a pale ale than an IPA from just looking at it, but then you kind of dive into the smell and you really get that smack in the face of some hops and some bitterness and a lot of flavor. And then you start to drink it and you get that full flavored palate sensation that only IPAs can bring. Being a session, it doesn't have a super full body, but it definitely has a lot of flavor for what it's got. I would say that this would be a beer that I would continue to drink. I mean, I'd hate to give Nick some credit on this, but Stone did well on this one. It's definitely a beer that kind of reminds me of San Diego. I mean, you go down and visit and makes me think of what San Diego has all about it. That being said, I would probably rename this beer to White Girl Booty.
White Girl Booty.
It doesn't got a lot to it, but it's kind of where it counts. So
All right.
I'm going to go with White Girl Booty.
I can get with that. All right. Grant?
Let's see, as far as color, more golden, almost kind of a straw color. Let's see, head definitely dissipated very quickly. It was kind of a little fluffy, but it went away very quickly. More of a white, almost creamy color. Aroma, kind of citrusy, piney. Same with the flavor, very strong piney. I got very piney. Go back to that. It seemed, I don't know, I guess middle of the road carbonation, not very heavy, not very light. The body is very thin. Doesn't really coat the mouth. It just kind of goes away, but the flavor does linger, just not the texture, I guess.
Kind of like a White Girl Booty.
Indeed. But the pininess is very strong in
Yeah.
this one. The force is very strong. The pininess is very strong. Let's see. Where I would drink this, because it is so piney, I see myself hiking to the top of a mountain. To the top of a mountain, being very in need of a wet beverage and finding this in my backpack to drink while surveying the vast vista that is the forest below me.
All right, I can get behind that.
That's what I see.
All right, so let me give you what I'm thinking here. I'm going to agree with you guys. Just definitely a pale straw, maybe golden, even. A nice white fluffy head. Slightly hazy, which I kind of was surprised by with how light the beer is, how hazy it is. I wouldn't say it's a hazy cloudy, but it's definitely on the upper end there. Right off the bat, the aroma, I get a lot of pepper, herbal, floral, a little bit, definitely pine. It's a very complex aroma. And I think after looking at the hop list, I think that comes from the mosaic hops. You can also smell a little bit of citrusy, and that's pretty much all of their hops have a little bit of a citrusy flavor to them, or aroma, I mean. And then when they do dive in for the taste, it's definitely kind of a sweeter malt, very light, almost non-existent sweet though. The pine really comes through, as well as the bitterness with that. There's definitely a peppery yeast kind of flavor, but it goes well with the earthy, floral, spicy, citrusy that all the hops that they use bring. So it's very well balanced in that sense. Definitely a hop forward drink with a nice little bite to it. Very drinkable, crisp, light body. I'm with Grant. This would be a great hiking beer, something you could sit around, forget how many you've had. I think it's great with the amount of IBUs. I believe it's 65 IBUs. So something spicy would go good with this. Normally I would say maybe like a curry or something, a spicy curry. But earlier I mentioned cheese, and so that got me kind of thinking that I got to go with some type of blue cheese or like a gorgonzola fries. That sounds amazing with this beer. I think that would really hit the spot.
I gotta say, real quick, I do not condone wandering through the wilderness and drinking alcohol. Just to clear any kind of like.
Grant just got a text from his lawyer.
Yeah,
exactly. Yeah, not a good idea, people. Don't do it.
Nick.
Anyways,
close this out with this beer.
Finish strong.
Okay, so first of all, we need to say a happy birthday to this beer because next week on the 3rd is this beer's birthday. On the
Happy
3rd
birthday.
of March. So this beer,
How old is it?
it's a year old.
A year?
They made it. The first batch they made was the 3rd of March, 2015.
Ah, the Ides of March.
And the way they make it is pretty interesting too. So because of the low alcohol content of it, they add a ton of hops at the last stage of the fermentation. They do like a hop bursting technique where they just add a ton of hops at the very end.
Mm-hmm.
That's where you get like a lot of the hoppiness from it, with a very low alcohol content,
Nice.
which is tough because most of the taste of a beer is from the alcohol content of the beer. My notes here for my observation of this beer. Okay, appearance. It's a light golden amber
Agreed.
body.
Good. You pass.
Okay, I did that with a creamy head of foam and a lacing that arches. I think that's the foam that goes up the glass. Aroma, I said, was aroma. Peach, citrus, melon.
Yeah, melon definitely.
And taste, obviously the hot flavors that they used dominate it. But it's balanced with a little bit of the malt to keep it just a little bit balanced. And then palate-wise, it's pretty dry and bitter because of the IBU of the beer. Overall, they don't try to balance this beer at all, really. They try to just, I mean, it's Stone, and Stone is known for hoppy beers.
Yeah, they kill their IPAs. They're good.
This beer does not let down on that notion of hoppy beers.
So what'd you draw for us?
Oh, okay.
Oh. I'm coming in close for this.
Stone.
Nice.
Nick, you're good at drawing. BCW.
Is that a whale shark?
It is a whale shark. Yes. That's a whale shark.
And how
Yeah,
come?
it is.
So.
How is that the spirit animal of this beer?
Okay, so this beer, when you first look at it, when you first see it in the wild, like a whale shark, it's scary. It could be a little frightening at first. It's first like
Intimidating?
What's the word I'm looking for?
Intimidating?
Well, it could be intimidating. That's not the word I'm looking for. But the first
Intimidating?
Or a whale shark could be pretty frightening.
Uh-huh.
But after you realize, like, whale sharks, they're not mean. Like,
They're intimidating.
They're not like Jaws. They're nice creatures. They eat like shrimp and shit.
They're more whale than shark.
They eat grill, man.
Exactly.
Well, maybe they
You're
eat
more
shrimp,
whale.
right?
You're very nice
You're
creatures.
on the body. Grill some
First
krill.
time in the wild, they would be pretty scary. Same with this beer.
Grant just say grill up some
At
grill.
first taste, it's very hoppy. The IBU of it, I mean, 65. Like, just the taste of the hops beer, it's very like intimidating. But when you look at the alcohol content, it's only like 4.5%.
Let's go ahead and start with Peter. Go ahead and run through. What did you give the dead guy?
Dead guy, I'm gonna have to go with like a 3.25.
3.25. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Are we explaining why, or?
If you want, yeah.
No.
You kind of.
Are we doing quarters?
Yes.
Oh, we are. Oh, shit. Okay.
Game changer.
Oh, man.
Hashtag been part of the game all along?
Yeah.
All right.
It's a terrible hashtag.
Let's move over to Grant. Grant, what do you give this?
Dead Guy, I really like Dead Guy. It's one of the first kind of micro craft brews that I drank. So maybe nostalgia might be playing a part in my ranking, but I gave it 4 pints. I just really like it. It's brings me back to the good old days, you know.
But they're liars, Grant.
All right. So let's see.
Yeah, it's out of 5 pints, Nick. I didn't give it 5 pints. I give it 4.
Kevin?
I give it a 3.75. I think it's pretty complex, and it's going to take a little bit of getting used to. What about you, Nick?
2.75.
That's what I thought.
Free country.
I would say 1 point is deducted because they're liars.
Uh-huh.
And the other, what is that?
1.25.
1.25?
Yeah. Peter, go ahead with your go-to.
All right, go-to. Honestly, I'm gonna have to put it either at or above the total domination. I'm gonna have to say 4.5.
Wow.
I was pleasantly surprised. I hadn't had this beer before, so I was pleasantly surprised by this beer. It was refreshing, but it had a lot of flavor to it. It wasn't one of those ones that kind of just took over your mouth and smacked it around. It just was a good beer.
Great. Grant?
I agree a lot with what Peter said. I was very surprised by this beer. I loved it. Very good, refreshing. It was light on the as far as the body, but strong on the palate. I gave it 4 pints. I would have given it maybe would have given it 4.25. Sorry for the interruption. Nick is very rude and doesn't know his manners. But I would have given it a little higher if the alcohol content was slightly higher. It's fairly low, but that just means you can drink it all day long. But yeah, 4 pints for the go-to IPA by Stone.
And you know, I'm going to go with you there, Grant. I'm actually going to go a little bit lower to 3.75. I think it's a great beer. Definitely hops in your face. Maybe I should consider more of it as a session beer, but I felt like it was kind of lacking something. I wanted a little bit more. Maybe it was more body, more alcohol, more malty. I don't know. Maybe I'm just used to more of a Northwest IPA. But I think it's definitely a good one if you want to feel those hops. You'll definitely get the flavor of hops all up in your grill. So I give it 3.75. Nick?
4.5.
Wow.
Wait, so Nick, where do you live?
Like a whale shark.
Now, how far from this brewery do you live, Nick?
1.2 miles.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
That's cool. That's cool.
All right, so great.
All right, yeah. So that about wraps it up. We reviewed our beers. Thank you all for watching and or listening to our reviews of these beers. Please join us again. Nick, if you want to go over our social media to encourage these people to follow us.
On Twitter at _Buds&Suds.
Wait. Can you repeat that? It was cutting off a little bit.
You're killing me.
Just do it.
You can follow us on Twitter at _Buds&Suds. Instagram _Buds&Suds. Periscope _Buds&Suds.
Instagram?
Email.
Oh, you can email us at no underscore.
No underscore.
Just Buds&Suds 2016 because it's 2016.
At
gmail.com.
At gmail.com.
What's that whole thing?
Buds&Suds 2016 at gmail.com and Instagram at Nick?
_Buds&Suds.
Instagram. It says _Buds&Suds.
Yeah, you did
Awesome.
already cover that one.
Oh, you did?
As with any Gmail account, we also are at Buds&Suds on YouTube and Buds&Suds just on Google+.
Fantastic. All right, thanks again for everyone for participating in this episode. We'll be back to you with a new episode in approximately 2 weeks. Hope you join us then. And as always, cheers.
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 Cheers.